Welcome to Just Kick It with Big Bob, where I share my 2 bobs worth with you whether you like it or not. In front of a jam-packed fever-pitch crowd of 96,000, the Blue Baggers snatched an unlikely win over the Demons, and didn't their barrackers have goosebumps on the edge of their seats, followed by scenes of unbridled joy as Melbourne found yet another way to lose by once again kicking wide of the goals with uncanny precision, and by failing to bite the bullet and pull the trigger with their sub in a tactical sense when some much-needed run and carry was most needed. Taking nothing away from the Blues, their win was unbelievable beyond belief as they retaliated first to the situation and responded valiantly despite Claret, or could have been Shiraz, dribbling from their skipper's nose ad nauseum, thus proving the age-old adage that when all is said and done, the game simply boils down to 50% skill and 90% attitude. The Blues listened to the messages, won the stoppages, created linkages, plugged the leakages, gained the meterages and down the beverages before going home with the Cadburys. For the Demons, the game was identical and exactly the same as the previous week, with a mere difference in differences of 2 or 3 points being the only difference, obviously. It was a case of deja vu all over again. In other words, que sera, que sera. Still, the fact of the reality is Melbourne must now face their demons and confront some deep-vein soul-searching as they ponder the question, if it ain't broke, do we fix it before it breaks? Or will he who hesitates to go broke before he goes broke? It is high time for the Dees to take the bull between the teeth and not put the soft option in the too hard basket. And just a final word on Reg Grundy. Needless to say, he will be missed by whatever team he is not playing for, bar none, and I for one can't wait till he returns to the fray. As for the Blues, it must be said there was more than an element of luck as they snuck home to win a spot versus the Lions next week, where I estimate they have a snowball's chance in Newcastle of overcoming the odds in the prevailing humid atmospheric conditions of the cauldron, that is the Gabba. Still, all things being equal, as far as their grand final aspirations go, that will depend entirely on what happens on the scoreboard. One final word of advice to Carlton, and one that applies doubly so when up north of the Barassi line, and it comes from the man himself, the recently departed legend of the game, number 31. If you're gonna make a mistake, make it a good one.
A little bear, a little bear, a little bear will fix it.
Do the job better with Bear Tape. Always keep a roll handy. Decorate gifts with Bear Christmas tapes.
And now on to the other game. And what can we say about Port? Back to earth with a thud. There's no two ways about it. The final scores flattered them, as they never looked like it. And this can no longer be regarded as a one-off transitory situation. They have ceased to be a cohesive force, no matter which angle you look at it, regardless of whether it or not it's a cyclical scenario that ebbs and flows with the vagaries of the season. Still, they must bear in mind that failure is merely a bruise and not a tattoo. And in the words of Premiership coach Horst Longmire, and I quote, "You need to start to climb the mountain somewhere. And if you fall off halfway up the journey, remember there's always another mountain around the corner that you can attempt to climb or fall off, as the case may be." Furthermore, I am compelled to add, and it's as plain as the nose on your face, Port need to take their game plan to the nearest panel beater and knock it into shape in the off-season, as it is currently going around in circles, in circular rotation, and they will never hit their straps while they sit on their hands. The question remains, do they have the gumption to dust themselves up and pick themselves off? Only as time goes by will time tell. On the other hand, GWS put their best foot forward by both hand and foot once again at the picturesque Adelaide Oval in front of what can only be described as a hostile crowd full of Port dyed-in-the-wool diehards. They've got the kicking, marking, handballing, tackling, running, jumping, standing still style of game that will have the pies shaking in their boots as they run through the banner at the MCG next Friday night. And what a big game it will be. GWS are the form team of the competition and hold no fear of the opposition, the ground, the crowd, as their fearless and confident style of play continues to evolve, having won at 11 different grounds around the country this season, while Collingwood can count the number of grounds they played on the fingers of one hand, not including the thumb, obviously. It's too close to call, and I, for one, can't wait to see the reformed bother boy Skipper Toby line up against confirmed bother boy Maynard. The AFL will be praying for Pies versus Blues in the big one, but will the footy gods listen? Thanks for listening. This has been Big Bob, sharing my 2 bobs worth with you, whether you like it or not. And remember, the fundamental things apply. On that you can rely. A case of do or die as time goes by.